Hello everybody, welcome to the webinar on page layouts. My name is Vagdevi and I'm going to present this feature to you today. Before we get into the webinar, let me highlight a few points. This webinar on page layouts is targeted at advanced CRM users. It's ideal if you are already familiar with CRM's customization features. If you aren't, please feel free to refer to our help documents on CRM help. During the course of the webinar, if you have any questions, please type them in the comment box. Our team will get back to you. Now, in this webinar, we're going to look at what page layouts are and why you need them, and how to use page layouts. Now, what are page layouts really, and why do you need them? Page layouts are a customization feature meant for medium and large enterprises to manage diverse sales requirements and maintain a clutter-free CRM system. For instance, consider the example of a real estate company which may be managing residential and commercial projects, or perhaps an insurance company which may be dealing in health, travel, life insurance, and motor insurance products. Not just these, there are many other examples including travel, education, and financial institutions. Diversity of products and services is something that's part of these businesses. So when they have to maintain their sales requirements in CRM, they would have to enter different fields for different products, have different sales processes for each product, have different people managing each process, and all in a single module. Dizzy? Well, you see, the problem arises when you have too many diverse fields and sections in a single layout. As a result, you end up with a cluttered CRM system, you have cumbersome administrative work, you exceed field and module limits quickly, and when you finally realize that your products and services are too diverse, you may have to sign up for more than one CRM account. What I mean is, look at this form. This is an example of a lead form from a real estate company which probably manages residential property and commercial property. Here, when I want to fill a residential property lead, I'm staring at commercial property section unnecessarily. So this is a cluttered system. I can hide certain fields from sales reps using the field level security options, but this is a very cumbersome process. I don't want to be doing this for several fields. And say one of my sales reps tells me that he's not able to access a field maybe 1 month down the line. It's a very difficult process for me to come back to what has been configured and find out what's gone wrong. So it's a very difficult administrative work. There's another thing. Look at the property type field that's repeated under each section. Property type, commercial property type. So this essentially has to be one entity, but it's been duplicated. So when I duplicate these fields for the purpose of entering diverse data, or when I create many custom modules for each of my products, I tend to exhaust my custom field and custom module limits quickly. So these are some impacts that happen when you create a lot of fields and sections in a single layout. The solution for all of these problems will be page layouts. I will tell you exactly how this solves each problem in the following demo. In order to demonstrate the use of page layouts, let's consider the example of a fictitious company, Zilker Real Estates, which is currently into managing residential property. Now let's assume they also want to get into the commercial space. If they do so, let's see how, with the help of page layouts, they are able to manage these two divisions in CRM. To just give you a quick idea, I've listed down the lead sources. So regardless of whether the leads are from web forms or via manual entry or import or APIs and integrations, when leads get into Zilker accounts CRM, they get categorized into residential or commercial leads, and each set of leads will follow a sales process prescribed for it until they are closed, won, or lost. Let's see how this is possible in CRM. Okay, so I'm logged into Zilker's CRM account. Let's take a look at the leads module. So apart from the basic leads information, we have property type, property features, housing type, property source. So this is already a little customized for the residential property. We have to create a new layout for commercial property layout. To create a new layout, go to Settings, Setup, and under Customization, click Modules. Go to the Leads module, and here you see an option called Create New Layout. When page layouts are first enabled for you, the default layout will be called the standard layout, and all the existing fields in this layout will be cloned to the new layout that you create. So let's create a new layout and call it the commercial property leads. Commercial property. Save the layout and assign it to the right people. Okay, save it. Alright, so I would like you to remember 5 things when you create a new layout. Point number 1, the moment you save a new layout, you see this field called layout that has been system generated. The value for this field will be the name of this layout, in this case commercial property. Now this field is very important whenever you execute other CRM actions, say custom views, workflow, web forms, based on layouts. This field is very instrumental, as you have to choose this in criteria. We will look at it shortly. Point number 2, here's a pick list field, property type. This is required for the commercial property, and let's try and edit this. It says apartments, villas, townships, luxury homes. These are not required for commercial property, so let's change it. Shopping malls, office buildings, industrial buildings, warehouses. So this is good. So let's save this field. So what I essentially did was just change the values of the pick list field. I did not add a new field at all. In the previous example, if you remember, we added duplicate fields under different sections, which just exhausted my custom field limits. But here, the field is the same, but the values are different in layouts, which means it is counted as just one field, and therefore I can make optimum use of custom fields using page layouts. Now point number 3. Notice that the company field is not marked as mandatory. Since this is commercial property, let's go ahead and mark this as a required field and save the layout. I'll go back to standard layout. In case of residential property, we have not made this field mandatory because it's probably not required for individuals. So the takeaway is that in page layouts, you can have different mandatory field settings for different layouts within the same module. Point number 4. Let's say you're creating a new field in this layout, say occupancy. And you want to add this field to the other layout as well. You don't have to create it manually. Simply go to Add to Other Layouts option and choose the layout, save it, and you're done. If you go to Commercial Property, you will find that the occupancy field has been added. This is point 4. And point number 5. Let's say you want to delete some fields from the commercial property layout. Say property features is not required, I'll remove it, and housing type is not required, I'll remove it. So when you remove fields from this layout, it goes to the unused fields section. This section is not equal to trashed fields. So you haven't deleted them from CRM, you have only removed them from this layout. These are perfectly reusable in other layouts as well. So if you want to delete them from this section, you have to delete them again from here. So I'm not going to do that now, and I'll just save this layout. So like this, you can simply create new fields, add to other layouts. If you don't require some fields, you can remove them. You can construct your layout this way. Okay, so now that we have created this new layout, let's go and try to create a new lead. So I say add a lead. CRM asks me to choose between a standard layout and commercial property layout. So let's choose commercial property and say Acme Inc. I say Mr. Jack Watson. Property source is Craigslist. Property type is shopping malls. Okay, let's save this. Now, when you save this, you're able to see that the layout is commercial property. This field is pre-filled. Let's try to convert this field. I say convert this lead. It says new account. It will be mapped to the standard layout of contact and account. Now, we don't want a standard layout. We want this to be mapped to the commercial layout of accounts and contacts. Now, for the sake of convenience, I've already created a commercial layout in contacts and accounts. Let's see how to change the lead conversion mapping settings for this. Go to settings, setup, under modules, in leads, go to lead conversion mapping. Here you can choose the layout to map the right fields. Commercial property, I choose commercial property accounts, commercial property contacts, and commercial property deals. So here I can map the fields accordingly. Let's say property type has already been mapped, property source has already mapped, great. So I can save this mapping settings. Now I go and create another lead, or we'll try to convert the same lead. Now I go to Jack Watson and convert this lead. Now you see that the mapping settings has changed. Commercial property accounts, commercial property contacts. That's good. Let's convert this. Alright, so you see in your accounts you have this under commercial property accounts, and here under commercial property contacts. Alright, so you see in the list view it makes it difficult for us to find out which layout these records belong to. When you have, right now I have just one record. If you have multiple records, it makes it really difficult for you to find out which leads belong to which layout. So you can simply go and create a custom view. Say for accounts, I'll go create a view. Let's call it the commercial property accounts view. I say layout is commercial property accounts, and I'll bring the layout field here. So I'll save it. Now you see commercial property accounts as a custom view. Let's just change to all accounts, create a new account, say Zoho Corp, and just save it. Okay, so in the all accounts view I see both the accounts, but when I change to commercial property accounts I see only Acme Inc. Okay, so far we have seen layout creation, lead conversion mapping according to layouts, and custom view creation according to layouts. Now let's quickly look at workflow automation based on layouts. Now consider this. Zilker wants a welcome email to be automated to leads when residential leads are created, and when commercial leads are created, they want to automate a task to the sales rep. So these are two different processes within the same module. Let's see how to establish this with the help of page layouts. Go to settings, setup, under workflow automation, click workflow rules, click create rules, select the leads module and say welcome email for residential leads. Okay, next. Choose on a record action, let's say create. In the criteria, make sure you mention that the layout is standard, because this is about a welcome email for residential leads, so that's standard layout. So say next, send email. You have to send email to the lead. Let's say welcome email for residential leads. Select a template, welcome email for residential leads, which I already have, and then save and associate. Alright, so this is created. Now let's create another workflow rule for the leads module, where first follow-up task for commercial leads is carried out. Okay, so say next. Here on a record action, say create, say layout is commercial, assign a task, say commercial follow-up phase 1 is there, and then we say associate, save this. Okay, so now that we have created these rules, let's test them. I'll go to the leads module and create a new lead. Let's say Jane Smith. Let's say jane99@gmail.com. Craigslist, housing type is 1 BHK, property type is apartment. Okay, I'll save this. This is a residential layout lead, so the moment I save this, an email must be automated to this lead. Let's check it. Okay, and there it is. Hello. Alright, so let's create another lead, this time with commercial layout. I'll choose commercial property. I'll say Acme Inc. William Donald. Property sources again Craigslist. Property type is shopping malls this time. So you see the pick list values are different, though the field is the same. Shopping malls, and let's save this. Now a task must be automated. Okay, open activities, commercial follow-up, phase 1. So this is how you configure different processes based on the layout. Whatever the criteria field in the workflow criteria, make sure to include the layout criteria as well if you want different processes to be executed based on different layouts. Okay, now let's look at layout-based reports. I'll go to the reports module. I've chosen lead reports and I'm looking at today's leads. Let's say I want to look only at today's commercial leads. So I go to today's leads. I see both the leads. So I go edit the report. I go to filters and say layout is commercial property. And say basic information. I say today's commercial leads. I say commercial leads obtained today. So let's run this report and see. and this gives me only William Donald. You can create dashboards from these reports. So if you look at it, right from the point of entry of a lead into CRM through to its conversion, activity follow-up, up until creating reports and dashboards, all actions can be performed based on the layout. So that helps you manage diverse sales data in a single CRM account. Now, one last thing before we close, I would like to show you how layout assignment and layout security works. Let me go to setup modules. Let's go to the leads layout and say commercial property. Say I want only the administrator to view this layout. I can go to layout permission and just remove the standard profile from this and save it. This means that users in the standard profile will not be able to see the commercial property layout. Now, there's another thing called layout assignment. Now, this is about assigning a default layout to users, to particular user profiles. Now, let me go back and enable this for standard. Okay, standard. All right. Now, if I go to layout assignment, I see that the standard layout has been assigned as the default layout for administrator and the standard profile. This means that when I log into CRM and I start to create a lead, by default the standard layout will be shown to me. Now let me change this to commercial property and save it. Now if I go create a lead, I'm the administrator of this account. I go and create a lead. By default, the commercial property layout is displayed to me. This comes in handy when you have different people managing different layouts in your account. Note that the layout assignment setting defines only the default layout for a profile. It does not define the layout permissions. For example, if I'm a standard profile user and the commercial property layout has been assigned as the default layout for me, then when I log into CRM and try to enter a lead, by default I will look at the commercial property layout. If I wish to, I can still switch to the standard layout as long as the standard layout is made available to me. Alright, so that brings us to the end of the demo. So now we saw lead creation, lead conversion mapping, automation, custom views, reports and dashboards based on layouts. We also looked at layout-based security and layout assignment. Let's look at a quick summary of this presentation. So page layouts helps you reduce clutter in your CRM account by displaying only relevant fields in each layout. You don't easily exceed field limits because you can easily avoid creating duplicate fields, because layouts helps you make optimum use of your fields and sections. And your administrative work becomes easier because of layout-based security. It's very neat. And because you can configure sales processes based on a layout, you're able to manage diverse sales needs in a single CRM account. So these are the problems we listed out earlier, and you're now able to see how each of these problems is solved by page layouts. Let's now move on to the frequently asked questions. So the first question is, I wish to create a custom field that's common to many layouts. Do I need to create the same field again in each layout? No, like we saw earlier, simply use the Add to Other Layouts option that appears when you create a custom field in a layout if you want to add it to another layout. If I delete a layout, what happens to the records of that layout and workflow configurations tied to the layout? So when you try to delete a layout, you'll be prompted to transfer existing records of the layout to another layout of your choice. There will be no loss of data. If at all you try to delete a layout which is tied to workflow rules, you'll not be able to delete that layout until you manage those workflow rules. So you don't have a problem. Next question is, Which layouts are the records via APIs assigned to? Currently, records generated via APIs are assigned to the standard layout by default. We have the new API implementation coming up soon, which will allow layout assignment via APIs. We request you to stay tuned for it. My sales reps create leads via CRM mobile app. Can they choose layout in the mobile app? Currently, records created via CRM mobile app are assigned to the particular user's default layout as specified in the layout assignment section. Layout specific creation for mobile app is coming soon as well. I have not created page layouts yet. What happens to all the existing records when I do now afresh? So no problem if you haven't created page layouts yet. When you do so, your existing records are mapped to the standard layout by default. You could manually reassign them by changing the layout field value or use the mass update option to categorize records based on the layout. What about the integrated tasks via Zoho Creator? So when you generate records via Zoho Creator, those records also go to the standard layout of the module by default. The next question is how do I assign records created via import and web forms to different layouts? You will be able to choose layout while you import records to a module as well as you create web forms. When you import records, simply choose the layout field when you're prompted to. And similarly, when you create web forms, first choose the layout for which the form needs to be created and then generate the form. So that brings us to the end of this webinar. For further resources, please refer to our help documents and frequently asked questions on our help site. This slide deck, as well as other resources, will be emailed to you in a few days. Thank you for attending this webinar and have a great day.